Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to come back to the subject raised by the representative from Tigard, and that is the plight of our schools in this state. The school budget has two sides to it. One is the income side, and the other is the expense side. Over a month ago, we set the income side and basically set it flat with last session. So revenue's flat, but expenses have increased dramatically. The legislature limits local school districts' choices on how to live within their budget on the expense side of the balance or the income statement. So schools, we find, I think, are left with only four ways realistically to cut expenses. One is to cut staff, another is to cut school days, a third is to negotiate concessions and compensation with staff, and the fourth is to close schools. And those are the only options that appear to be available to our schools to meet their budget obligations. Meanwhile, our schools are struggling and Oregon's youth are paying the price. I read recently that over 30% of Oregon's high school students will not graduate. That is a stunning failure, and it is unacceptable in this state, and we have to do something about it. To address some aspects of the expense side, I've introduced House Bill 3680. There are 8 provisions in it. Each of them addresses, in some small or large way, mandates that are passed on to school districts by the legislature. By giving them flexibility to manage their affairs in each of these 8 areas, they can save over $200 million. The largest savings would come from, yes, I'm going to say it, a PERS reform. All it would do is limit cost of living increases on PERS benefits to those benefits that are above the average for each PERS retiree. What this comes down to in this particular provision, I think, is a choice between classrooms and COLAs. And that choice is easy, for me anyway. I think we need to put more money into the classrooms, even if it requires a small limitation on COLAs. And again, let me be clear, the savings from this one provision would be over $200 million this biennium. That is significantly more than we're talking about taking out of our Education Stability Fund, and I think, I would argue, is a far better choice. And let me just conclude by saying, to fail to act is to consent to the status quo. So we are making a choice one way or another. I hope you will choose classrooms with me.